The Wilton November 7th, 2024 Board of Education Board Workshop to order. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. We have some guests with us, I believe, to start off the evening.
I heard right on time. I was like, where are my Harry Potter people?
Oh my goodness.
Because, tomorrow's the big night.
It is. May I?
Sure.
Thank you. Can you have the boys come out right now? Yep. Double factor. Yes. Oh my. It is amazing.
Let's all blame that.
Please.
Allow me. Allow me. Okay. Please excuse me, we are just finishing up our dress rehearsal. That is why we are running slightly behind. My apologies.
How'd it go?
It went fantastic and we are officially sold out.
Wow. I'm glad I got my tickets.
Yes. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up for them so that it is ready when they arrive. They are going to run up right now.
So all three performances are sold out?
No,
Four?
tomorrow night.
Oh, there's
we
four.
still have tickets for Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
We are still performing 2 shows on Saturday, one at 1 o'clock and one at 7, and on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Hello. Sorry about that. For any of you who don't know me, hello, I'm Catherine Luckstone. I am the artistic director of the theater program at Wilton High School. I also happen to be a Wilton High School alumni. And obviously the theater program was very formative to me, and something I care very much about. I wanted to come back and see that it continued on. So I'm very, very fortunate to be the one that has that position. Our students will tell you more about it, but this particular production is very, very special. We are the first high school in Connecticut to be performing this production, and the students will tell you about how arrived at that. But it is an honor for us. It is an honor for Wilton High School. It's an honor for the community. We're really excited about presenting it to all of you. There is going to be quite a bit of magic on stage, and that's not just because of the theatrical tricks that we have created. It really is the students. They brought this to life from the very beginning, and they continue to do so. They are amazing, and literally that dress rehearsal just blew me away. And I really can't wait because I think people are going to be so, you're not going to believe this is high school theater. You're just not. And the commitment and the level of professionalism that they bring every single day. We've been rehearsing this show since the first day of school. First day of school this year. We held auditions in the spring. And I said to Kevin Slater, our director, I said, well, when do you want to start rehearsals? Do you want to give them a day? He's like, nope. Let's do it. Let's get to it. And they did. And they were super excited to do so. Not just because it's Harry Potter, but also this is because theater is what they are committed to being a part of. And I can't... Yes, I know that their passion transcends beyond the stage. And we are lucky enough to also have Oliver Davies in our cast as well. Really looking forward to, he has a very special role in this production, a very notable role in this production. And so it's just wonderful to see a play that can accommodate as many students as this does. Very few plays have casts of 40 kids or more. We have 45 kids in the cast, and we have 8, yes, no, 10 crew members. Then we have students who have helped create and design costumes and do hair and makeup, and do wig work and sew, and that as also what elevates the whole community of this production is the kids that get involved in different ways, and that has been very, very special. And I hope that they will join me do the song and dance. There they are. Yes.
Welcome, welcome.
So sorry about just the professional attire and makeup I have going on, but we wanted to go and promote Harry Potter and talk about our process and how it all started. So hi, my name is Finn.
My name is Will DeBernardis.
And this is our presentation that we wanted to promote. If we want to go to the presentation.
Here.
Sorry if we're a little bit ruffled because we just got out of finishing up the show entirely today. And we just came back and we're here. So, we want to talk about how did this project come about. So, Broadway's Licensing Global, back in 2023, they're a theatrical licensing agency that sends out high school scripts and playwrights throughout Broadway and New York and all sorts of other places. They made an announcement in 2023 that Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is coming in early or late 2024. They had a contest called Wands at the Ready. Wands at the Ready wanted to highlight what made a school magical and why should our school do it. It was a video contest that you had to submit. Back in December 2023, I got a call from Kevin Slater and Catherine Luckstone. Probably you heard a little bit about that. And no, not the story. Okay, the story's a little bit crazy. I was just finishing up a trackside teen center promotional video, and finishing up the fall play, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and diving headfirst into improv that winter. And I got a call from Slater talking about this project. It was about the stressors, the ambitious and monumental task we were going to be taking. I said, sure, yeah, I would love to work on this and get it going. How much do we have to finish the video? 3 days. We only had 3 days until the deadline. Now that's may kind of seem like it's a manageable time. No, it is not. It is not whatsoever. 3 days did not help at all. So, we were hectic. We were running with ideas, and we had a vision. We wanted to have a tongue-in-cheek kind of style of what their prompt was. They wanted to have it to be magical and tell us why it is magical. And we ran with ideas. It was a Monty Python stylized video, if you will. And we recruited people like my friend Will, Nicole Allers, and Nick Soma to help with the submission. With the submission, it took about, I'd say, 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours of just filming. And then I went straight to the editing process and sent the first draft. It was 4 minutes long, and it had a lot of comedic aspects into it. Stayed up all night working on it, and then we had to cut it to 2 minutes. They only needed 2 minutes for the submission. No more, no more, less. No, yeah. So I went back to the editing software. I edited it all together again, and we had this submission going forward.
Welcome
to Wilton High School, a place of exceptional theatrical study that endeavors to cast all who choose to audition. Of course, only the most serious students will succeed.
Greetings, Gryffindor! Today, Mr. Playbill, love you, been asked if Wilton High School can be magical. Well, my dear friends,
We can do magic!
well, ladies and gentlemen, Wilton High School facility been asked, how can we promote Harry Potter and the Cursed Child? Well, we got the Facebook, we got the YouTube, Instagram, that's one of them. But, waiter! We also have posters.
Great.
So, thank you. That was the submission, our 2-minute version. Definitely not my favorite, and there's a lot more to it with a director's cut, but this is how I got into it. On February 13th, 2024, we had the breaking news from Playbill itself that said that 29 schools were the... Oh, I completely forgot to say this. I'm so sorry. The contest, we will be the first ever school to produce Harry Potter and the Cursed Child in the state. Yes, there we go. Yeah, my brain is all over the place. With that being said, 29 schools got selected, and we were one of them in February 13, 2024. Yeah.
So again, my name is Will Bernardes, and one thing I would like to talk about today is essentially a little bit about what the show is about, and then how it looks like here at Wilton High School. So to start off with a little bit about the show, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is a show where the characters that we know and love from the books, Hermione, Harry, and Ron, and everybody else, they're kids now. The play focuses on them and their lives through school and the difficulties and struggles they have fitting in, and sometimes occasionally like the result of that. There's a very brief video here that was played at Cider Mill. It is a more, I guess it's almost more of like a little movie representation of what happens. This video was created to gather engagement at Cider Mill. This is just a little bit about what the show is about and the plot.
That Will D. Bernardes made and directed.
Yes.
That is not present in the slideshow. I'm very sorry about that. I think there's been an error with the formatting of it. We're having a lot of trouble with that error. I greatly apologize about that.
We'll email you that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
And I believe there might be an issue with the other one too. I'm very sorry about this. I thought we were having a lot of...
It is fabulous.
Don't worry
Thank
about
you
it.
so much.
You guys had some other things going on, so
Yes.
I'm so sorry about that.
not worried.
But I can also talk about too a little bit about how a high school can put on this very extravagant production of such a high caliber Broadway show. The Broadway show, if you've seen it on Broadway, it has like these insane special effects, all of these things that are for a high school very difficult to pull off. The resources needed would be like Broadway level stuff. But Wilton High School did not want to shy away from that challenge, so we took up recreating some of the special effects to fit our show, and also adding some things that the Broadway show doesn't have that will still increase the performance factor. So, for example, one of the characters that does not in the Broadway show flies in our show, and we do have flying in our show, which is another incredible thing, and really just. It was a great challenge, but it all was very well worth it to look through each special effect and each little interesting moment in the show that, while you sit on Broadway, you think, oh my gosh, how could they do this? So hopefully when you sit and watch it at the high school, you think,
Oh my gosh, how do they do this?
Thank you very much. I can see if it's there. I'm very sorry. I'm not sure if it is.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I know that they're having Harry Potter Day tomorrow at Cider Mill, are you
They
not?
are.
Yes.
Yes.
We will have
Yes.
a group of high schoolers there in the morning to greet them.
To greet them?
Yes.
Yes, no, I have an excited fifth grader. Yes.
Fantastic.
But
Yeah.
thank you so much. There is a trailer for this show. That was what was supposed to be on this slide. I apologize. But at wiltonhighschooltheater.com, if I'm correct, the trailer, I believe, is up there, and you can also buy tickets at wiltonhighschooltheater.com/tickets. And the trailer just details a little bit like what the show looks like, and it also details the plot of the show. I highly suggest you check it out. It's a very amazing thing, and it really shows the process of the show.
Absolutely.
That being said, thank you all so much for your time. Again, there's a link to buy tickets and a reminder of the show dates.
I would add to that, yeah, we're doing this in the Clune because it wouldn't fit anywhere else, not in the little theater. The Clune holds 800 seats. If you want to see it tomorrow night, yeah, we're already up to 750 seats sold for that show.
No,
which
we're
is,
sold out.
Oh, sorry, we're sold out for that show, which is pretty unheard of for our school. So buy your tickets for Saturday or Sunday quickly because they're not going to last. So, you know what, and if I'm going to brag, I've been doing this for a long time. I directed over in Westport for years and years as the associate director for Staples Players, and I ran Bedford Middle School's program. I have never directed, sorry, I'm going to choke up a little. I have never directed a show that's as solid as this at the high school level. I would put this at the college level. That's how good these kids are. You should come see it. You really should.
No, we will be, I will be there. Yeah. We're very excited to see it. And congratulations, I mean, this has just been a tremendous effort for a long time in the making.
It has been.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Okay.
And good luck tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're going to find it?
Is it right there, Harry Potter trailer?
It's worth the wait. You should find it.
Yes.
There it is.
Is that the attachment from in Jen's email?
Yeah, first
Oh, I found it. Here, yeah, I think that one is,
Should be.
yeah. It's just,
So there were two versions. This was the longer version?
So, yes,
Are we not allowed to show
Will
that?
is
The other one.
fiercely talented.
Yes.
He made 2 videos, and so and that is one of them. And I was just going to, ORG.
Or remember the copyright problem too? Is that what it
Do
is?
you want the other one? I have the other one.
Oh, the other one. Yeah. The other.
So there were two, one that we were allowed to send to families and one that we weren't. This was the one that we showed in school, but I have the other one.
Yes.
Oh, at Middleborough School? I mean, Middleborough.
So,
Simon.
there we go.
We're testing the system today.
Clearly.
I believe, is that one the other one?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. There we
That
go.
one might be a good one, because that's.
So this was shown at Middlebrook and Cider Mill.
Hi, my name's Harry Potter. You probably know my friends Hermione and Ron. Something's gone terribly wrong. My kids are missing. They must be lost in time. It's okay, Harry. We can help.
Ron! Augmenty. I love this one. Okay. Are you ready?
I think so. What if something goes wrong? What if we don't change anything? What if...
There's no what if. We need to act fast. We have to save Cedric.
She's right. We work together.
We've come too far to turn back now.
Okay.
Three.
2, 1.
This doesn't make any sense. They should be here.
Are you sure, Harry? Maybe the map's wrong.
No. The map's never wrong. It's just weird.
Well, maybe they're using some kind of magic we didn't know about. Maybe they're using something to hide from the map.
Hey, stop panicking. Our kids are missing and this won't help. Okay, we need to go. Now. Everybody gets ready.
Let's go find our children.
There we go. Sorry. Oh, math updates.
That's the perfect segue.
All right, there you go.
Thank you. Great
Thank you so much. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay. Continuous Improvement Science Fair.
Yes.
Chuck, you're up.
There you go.
I get to follow that.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right, so this is not going to be as much fun as that was. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to do the Continuous Improvement Science Fair. I think some of you may have done this before and some of you haven't, so I thought it might be a good idea for me to provide a little advanced context for you so that you'll know what it is that you're seeing at LLC. So continuous improvement. Some of you may be familiar with the term strategic improvement. That's something that we used to do. And if you recall, what we would usually do is at the beginning of the year, the district and the principals would get together, we decide on a strategy, and we say everybody's going to do it. And we write these elaborate action plans, and then kind of monitor how it went, and then report at the end of the school year. I will say that in some cases that did work well, but in many cases it didn't, and we kept doing it year after year. So we started to work with a group called Partners for Educational Leadership, and they introduced us to the field of improvement science. And that's something in the fields of healthcare and social service. And it's a new way of thinking about how to improve your organization. And it involves, I actually gave you a sheet on your in front of you.
The process map.
Yes. I gave you a hard copy because I didn't think you'd be able to see this. So it's just a different way of imagining how we go about improvement. So instead of, again, starting out the year, thinking we know the answers and having everybody do it and hoping it works, this is more about doing small, rapid tests of improvement and engaging our stakeholders in refining that before we move to the scaling up. See, what we used to do is we tried to scale up right away. So now what we're doing is we're spending a lot of time trying to understand how the system supports current practice. You know, we have this saying, the system is perfectly designed to get the results that it's getting, right? So we need to understand the system, focus collective efforts, and generate ideas using, the feedback from what we've learned and what our stakeholders are saying to develop what's known as a prototype. Then we get involved in what are known as cycles of continuous learning. You may have heard me use the term PDSA, plan, do, study, act. That's basically beta testing ideas. So what we'll do is we'll take this prototype, we'll beta test it with a small group of teachers, ask for their feedback, refine it, and then do it with another group of teachers, and again, get feedback and refine it. So that what we're scaling up has already been tested and refined. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's basically what the process is. In prior years, we were getting used to understanding this process and trying it out, and many of the schools were kind of doing their own thing, you might remember. This year, I think we've dove into it a lot more deeply, and they're all working on the same thing. And now let me explain what I mean by that. You may have seen this before. This is the accelerated learning framework.
This is something that we adopted, again, in partnership with the Partners for Educational Leadership to address unfinished learning as a result of the pandemic. And it was very effective. If you recall, a couple of years ago, we had the highest growth, academic growth in the state. But the pandemic required that we implement this in total. And we really didn't support teachers in this as much as we could have. If you look at each of these buckets, they each represent a constellation of practices and methods that teachers need to learn more deeply about. So what we're doing now is we're trying to take this in a very systematic way and address each of those buckets and the practices and methods within them. You'll notice here in the middle, this is called the instructional core. This is the core work that we do as educators.
Chuck, can I put this in projector mode? Might be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you.
Okay. I can't see it.
Sure.
All right, never mind.
I'm sorry. I usually.
It's fine.
Isn't it slideshow?
I think you can put up on the toolbar on the bottom right, you can increase it from 64% as well.
And you can read it to me.
Can you see me now?
Is that better?
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yep. All right. I'll actually share this with you anyway. So anyway, you see here the instructional core, students and teachers in the presence of content. That's basically what we do, right? Teachers and students working on content. And you see in the middle we talk about task. One of the principles of the instructional core is that task predicts performance. It's a long way of saying we're starting here with task design. Once we learn how to design a good task, then we'll work on how to implement a good task, sustain a good task, how we respond to the results of that task, how we will scaffold the learning, how we will make sure that students are feeling good about the work that they're doing, they're feeling good about themselves as learners. This one here we've already done. This was the work of the curriculum coordinators. We had to do this during the pandemic, so the curriculum has already been prioritized. What we're going to be doing is digging into these things. And this slideshow is an effort to develop a professional learning module. It's part of a package of professional learning materials that we're using to train staff in how to design good tasks, good academic tasks. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's about a 2-hour presentation, and it does get kind of technical.
Quite?
But these are the features of tasks that this professional learning addresses. The length of the task, what each group or individual work, what the cognitive level is, what the difficulty level is, and the amount of task structure, something that we also call scaffolding or supporting students in completing the task. Some of this is fairly easy to understand, those first two. Once we get into cognitive level and difficulty level, things start to get a lot more complicated. I know some people think that cognitive level and difficulty level are the same. They're actually not. And the amount of task structure is an important concept and one that is involved in understanding, if that makes sense.
It might be too much just to ask. So if I was to venture a guess, cognitive level is like how much kind of brain power you need.
So are you familiar with Bloom's taxonomy?
Right, no.
Oh, okay. So we start out with things like, I've got that on here, don't I? Let me go down here and I'll show you.
Can you describe a task to us?
I can show you some tasks in a minute.
Okay.
Let me answer this question first.
Okay.
So there's knowledge. There's different kinds of knowledge. There's factual knowledge, procedural knowledge, conceptual knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. I'm not going to give examples right now. But what we do with our knowledge is that we kind of process it in different ways. We create, we evaluate, we analyze, we apply, we understand, and we remember. That's the cognitive level. Some people tend to think that these down here, analyze, evaluate, and create, are more difficult. But as we show in this professional learning module, that's not necessarily the case. There can be things at the remember level that are very difficult to remember, and there can be easy things to create. So it's making people understand that there's a difference between cognitive level and difficulty level. And the reason that's so important is because of equity. There is often a belief among some people that certain students can't live up here, but they can if we adjust the difficulty level of the material that we use.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. The interplay between the two,
Yes.
and then it kind of then folds down into the scaffolding.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I want to go back up here for a minute.
And I guess, just to refine, when you're talking equity, you're talking about being able to access the learning
Yes.
as within an entire classroom.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so I wanted to read something to you about tasks. So I'm going to try to introduce a concept to you. Remember I talked about a prototype? It's kind of a prototype of a task, a task design prototype. What that gets at is something called standard work. So when you think about medicine, for instance, doctors, there is standard work around things like repairing an ACL, or doing a heart transplant, or doing LASIK surgery, right? There's standard work that we expect from our doctors. A doctor wouldn't have the freedom to say, you know, I really like the way we replaced ACLs in 1970, and that's how I'm going to do it, right? They have to be up to date. We need to get to that point in education, too. We now know through research what best practices are. And this is an effort to kind of standardize that. Now, the point I want to make about that is that that does not take away from the expertise of teachers, right? Even though there's standard work around repairing an ACL, that's still a very difficult surgery to do, and we expect a lot of expertise on the part of our doctors to do that. But again, we don't expect them to just decide however they're going to do an ACL repair. Make sense?
It does.
So, that said, I'm going to skip down to the end to something that we are calling a recipe. I think a prototype is not teacher-friendly, so we've renamed it a recipe. And if you think about recipes, recipe testing in particular, I've used this with the staff before. If I have a recipe for beef bourguignon, right, and I want to test it, I give it to some expert chefs and some novice chefs, and I ask them for feedback on how well it worked. They may tell me it was too much salt. You would probably know this. Maybe you should cook the mushrooms separately and put it in later, right? What I shouldn't do is make judgments about the testers, right? You didn't use my recipe right. I should say, thank you for the feedback, and go back and revise my recipe. Does that make sense? So that's that process I was talking about. We are now in the process of taking this recipe that we've developed around task design, and we're going out with the teachers, they are trying it out, and we are getting feedback from them. The ratio is usually we start with one person get feedback, then we do 5 people and get feedback, then we do 25 people and get feedback. Then we all get back together, we look at the feedback, we probably will make some changes to this, and then we'll talk about how we scale that up across all of the schools.
Are you focusing in on one particular academic core area, or
Each school has picked a different focus.
a different focus?
Yeah. This is generic enough, and I'll show you some tasks. I tried to give tasks in all different subject areas, but we have some in math.
I think I just struggle with the word.
How's the feedback collected?
Okay, so there's different ways of doing that. Some of it is just asking people. There's also a protocol. Here, let me see if I can find the task here. All right, so read that fast. Can you see that? It's a math task. So I talked about that protocol. Some of the way the protocol works is somebody designs a task, they bring it to their instructional effectiveness team, present that task to their team members, and then steps back while the team members discuss the quality of the task along the criteria of length, group versus individual, cognitive level, difficulty level, task, scaffolding. Once they've discussed it, then the person who presented the task will then share with the group what they took from that discussion. What we're having the coaches do is to listen in on those conversations to see where we're having some difficulty. I can predict that things like cognitive level, difficulty level, and task structure is something that we're probably going to have to beef up some training around. So there's an example, Pam, of a math task. Make sense?
Yep.
Let me see if I can find oh, this is a good example. Remember we were talking about the difference between difficulty and cognitive level? The first one, what does the word thankful mean? That's pretty easy. Does anyone here know what inchoate means? I'm sure you've seen the word. Want to tell them, Kevin?
Inchoate.
And the same with higher order thinking tasks. Right? Write your own fable. That's at the create level. That's the highest level of, the highest cognitive level, but it's a lot easier than that
It's equal
one.
to the Iliad, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Right? Okay. So what you're going to see today is each of the buildings are going to talk to you about where they are in that process of testing it out with their staff, what sort of feedback they're getting, and how we're going to move forward. Okay?
Do they then, are you all then coming back after a task is run in like the IET and looking about how it then circled back into like the learning objective?
Okay, so-
Or is that a different?
So one of the things we learned remember I said we were studying the issue?
Yeah.
Once you implement the task,
Right.
it's very easy for the design of that task to change pretty quickly.
Okay.
So what we've asked people to do right now is to just design a task and give us feedback. Because
Okay.
implementing it is going to change the design.
Okay.
And that would be our next level of work. Remember I said, once we learn how to design a task, then we need to learn to implement it in such a way that the dynamics of the class don't cause us to change what it is that we're trying to get at.
Right.
Okay.
What ends up happening is that classrooms are very dynamic places, and kids push back,
Yeah.
particularly when things aren't clear. And we're trying to get kids to think, right? So that often pushes teachers to lower the cognitive level and change the design of the task. So
Okay.
right now, we're just strictly dealing with design. The next level of work will be implementation.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay? Any questions?
No.
All right, so here, I'm going to give you some directions.
Okay.
All right? We have 4 stations out there. It's typical science fair. Go up and have a discussion. What I'm going to ask, though, I'm going to put you into groups of 2 each. I'm going to ask that after 10 minutes, when I signal everybody, you need to move to the next station. Okay? Because what ends up happening is you cut into the time for the next group. All right? Now, we're going to do 10 minutes with 3 groups. I will leave time at the end if you have a burning desire to go back, and we'll open it up, and you can go to anybody you want to see and continue your discussion. But at least this way, we'll make sure you've been able to touch base with each school. Okay? All right, so you'll be a team, you'll be a team, and you'll be a team. Why don't you start with Miller Driscoll, Cider Mill, Middlebrook. You will have a 15-minute break, all right? We're going to rotate, and then Kathy will have a 15-minute.
10 minutes, you said.
10 minutes, yes, I'm sorry. I was going to do 15, but I shortened it to 10.
We're all doing very
That's
similar
great.
things.
Yes. 10 minutes will be good. All right? And there's some refreshments out there, so please have a piece of cake and a cookie.
Yeah. Who'd have thought?
Pretty sure the teachers have to. Yeah, pretty sure. Seems like it.
How are you? Oh, this is how you get a classroom to not. Did you talk to them? Uniformity across the class. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's, to me, that's.
I talked to her for very little.
Yeah.
Because I had to go talk to someone else with it. But yeah.
I
think if we move the presentation to the other screen, then I think you'll get the presentation, not the presenter's presentation.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here tonight.
Yep. Not made it a lot easier.
I changed the presentation a little bit.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
So you have your notes on the screen on the left, and now you have full screen on the other two.
Nice.
Sorry.
No problem, thanks.
That's good.
I'm
Good
good.
to know. Good to know.
My toes will be
In case our trifold fell over
Right,
on our
exactly,
foot.
right?
This
Imagine
is so
that.
dangerous, the science fair. Zach, you're still here.
I'll wait until Karen's presentation. It's all good.
Do we want to try to figure out where our presentation is? We know where it is, the way you showed me over now. He's got stuff on the screen.
Just hit escape.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, it's okay. No, it's
Chuck's all set with this?
It's okay. We're ready for the
The girls. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there was
Thanks,
adorable, that all of the cheerleaders on the field. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Great. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but
yeah.
that's presentation.
No, I got this. I keep meaning to ask. It's like nice candy. Awesome. There we go.
Oh, well, I think this is the next board meeting. You know, if you hand out some Thanksgiving recipes.
Yeah?
It's probably not out of order.
I got some Gatorade for you.
On budget season.
Oh, God. Lost Gatorade. Yeet. All right, how are you?
This is a great student.
No, it's like
It's like a Pedialyte.
Gatorade. Yeah, yeah. It's really
Stop.
Especially after. Yes.
I actually drink it every morning because I get so cute when I'm running.
Oh, yes, I'm trying.
And it like, there's magnesium oxide in it. So it really helps with the cramps.
Come on.
During the summer.
Magnesium. I take it every day.
right.
Does it have it in it?
Yeah, it has magnesium oxide and calcium oxide that help it.
I just take a pill.
And actually, in areas where they haven't been able to get, they've actually been prescribing Gatorade. Did you see that? It was in the news, yeah, that's for dehydration.
Wow.
No, but I'm sure it's
We're using it.
your recipe. Okay, this is post-priest recipe. Not pre-priest.
Right.
Heather,
We're ordering tons of it because we can't get IV solution.
Exactly.
Well, I think we've
So you
ordered,
got
I've
Gatorade?
actually ordered a whole ton of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so, thoughts, comments, questions?
it's impressive.
They're working very
They
hard.
seem very, yes, but they're enthusiastic about it, engaged in it, and very thoughtful about what they told us about, what they were doing. And it wasn't a burden. Sometimes I think, as I was saying to them, we just keep piling it on and we don't kind of think about how much we're asking them to do. It just didn't seem like a heavy lift. More like a fun lift, as Julie would say.
I guess and I brought this up with Kathy and Trudy, is that I know we, in some ways, have to be very prescribed at the lower grade levels, and I get that, and I understand that we have the workbooks and we have all this stuff. But having been a teacher, sometimes I feel like when we take away that creative strength, right, and we don't allow teachers to really bring that to the table, it starts to make you kind of die a little bit at a time inside. And so when I asked Trudy about creating tasks versus having tasks, she's like, well, they shouldn't have to. There's plenty of them. And so what I was concerned about is what message are we giving the teachers in terms of how can you bring your creative edge to this and really feel like you're owning this and contributing. And I think at the high school, they're all creating these amazing tasks and they're collaborating with each other and editing each other's tasks, and it's this incredible experience. If you take that away, I feel like there's just a little part of someone that dies every time they have to deliver something. It's prescribed to them.
Yeah. I don't think that this recipe is trying to prescribe
I'm
particular
not talking about the
tasks.
recipe, I'm talking about the tasks.
Right, so that's my point. This is about the recipe, not the tasks. This is a way of thinking about when you design your own task. You can bring your own creativity to it. You just need to think through, for instance, if the standard says I'm supposed to analyze original source documents, are you creating a task that gets you to analyze? Now, you can pick any...
I totally understand. My challenge is they don't need to.
They don't need to...
create any tasks because they're already there.
Okay, so that's where, you know what, I'll share this with you. And I was trying to explain this at one of the... So even if you take a task from the curriculum that's given to you, particularly like IM, how you present that task is part of the design. So in other words, do you give kids a choice about what the topic's going to be? Do you give them a choice about what resources they use to solve the task? Do you prescribe or give choice to what the final product's going to look like? So how you present that task, the choices you give to kids, the way you want the product to look like is going to give you a window into the type of thinking that you want. And all this is really designed to do is to get teachers to think that through. Because sometimes what we do is that we limit choice or we open choice up too much and then we don't get to the type of thinking that we want to do.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand the thought process. I just really hope that we're allowing teachers the ability to look at these tasks and make them their own. And I think the concept of the recipe is great.
Yeah.
I think looking at a task and breaking it down like that, fantastic. I just want to make sure that we're leaving room for them to actually design their own.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we call it task design. Yeah. So we'll come back and share with you their feedback. I did know that Trudy showed me some really nice feedback from the people that were just home.
Yeah.
So,
No.
very thoughtful.
And I think that it also really sheds a different way or a different light on thinking about something like how you approach the IM curriculum. because it is, a given curriculum for a reason, but what task you choose from within it and how you then go about evaluating the presentation of that is a way, I think, to fulfill both like your standards and your curriculum needs, while at the same time making it your own and in your own classroom and seeing like the thread through. So seeing that like what is it that you're getting to or you want to get to, especially when you're in a school like Miller Driscoll where you are teaching every subject. Everything. And dealing with every day. So I think that it can, I was thinking as I was going through each different center, I guess, I was, thinking about how the approach varies, by school and by, developmental appropriateness for tasks within the classroom. And different ways that even if you have a systematized recipe, how that, then gets processed or used in relation to your task as you progress.
And the one thing I like about the way we've been taught to do recipes is to make them as simple and generic as possible. What we're really trying to do is to just prompt people to think through what it is that they're doing and developing kind of what we call standard work. When anybody designs a task, these are the things that we think about when we design a task.
Yeah.
And it really should go across every subject area, every grade level.
Yeah.
Although, from some of the feedback, I'm getting the sense they want us to be a little bit more specific in it, so we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I think
it's going to be a balance.
It's going to be, it's a balance, and especially if you're, I think, in your lower schools where you're dealing with multiple subjects versus your, high school and middle school where you're more subject area focused. So your bandwidth is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to have some brief updates from our two coordinators. Karen's going to share a little bit about the new ELA program, new grades K through 3, and then Judy's going to provide an update. So who's first? Karen first.
So we were last together on June 6th, and I shared with you then an action plan for implementing the pilot in grades 2 and 3. Chuck, if you could just advance that twice. There you go. So just by way of reminder, the action plan for year 1 of the pilot implementation contains 5 focal areas: preparation, communication, professional learning, curriculum, alignment, and pilot integrity, and then monitoring and evaluating the pilot. Today we don't have enough data yet to begin evaluating the pilot, so I won't have that kind of data for you, but I will have formative data that's informed some instructions in some other buckets along the way. Underscoring the entire plan is a collaborative commitment to implementing with integrity. It's more than semantics. Sometimes I hear people say, implementing with integrity or fidelity or whatever we're calling it. It's more than semantics around that word. Implementing with integrity, it was very important to the Curriculum Review Committee that teachers understood that our most valuable resource is between their ears, and we don't want them checking their brains at the door with this program and just moving lockstep through the publisher's materials, but rather we want them taking their knowledge of learning profiles that they have encountered along the way, knowledge of their content, knowledge of their grade level, and knowledge, most of all, of the students in front of them to be responsive and to make instructional decisions within the programmatic materials that meet the needs of the kids that are right in front of them in the room. We also collaboratively agree not to adapt the resources to the degree that we are replacing components of the adopted pilot materials with components from another program or from somewhere out in the wild on the internet. There have been a couple hurdles along the way. As adult learners, one of the biggest ones is adjusting our philosophical stance about methods that we think work best for kids and make the magic of learning to read happen. Some of the methods that we use are being adjusted and challenged, and we're trying on new methods. And
while you're learning and the cognitive load is pretty heavy, it's a pretty big thing to have to challenge your philosophy at the same time. Another is that our students in second grade did not have this program in kindergarten or first grade yet, and our third graders didn't have it in second or first or kindergarten yet. So they're also experiencing a bit of a lift. And as a result, everything is new. There are talk protocols that need to be taught that if they'd had this from kindergarten forward would have been pre-taught in first grade. You could just refer to them and get up and running. There are expectations for listening and self-navigation that are lifted as students engage more frequently with increasingly complex texts, but the kids are doing great. Their listening comprehension, you can just feel how much they're taking in. Their language comprehension is really coming along. They're applying new vocabulary. They're doing a great job. I'm ready for the next slide. So the first bucket that we're going to talk about is preparation. Almost all the benchmarks for preparation were met when I met with you on June 6th. There was one that was hanging out there. Well, there were two that were hanging out there. One was platform, learning about the platform, and that was scheduled for the following week after I met with you. And we also had some volunteers come in and prep the initial materials for skills block and for all block for second and third grade, and that work occurred in August. So for preparation, everything, all targets were met on time. Next slide, Jeff. Communication is another area on the action plan, and all communication benchmarks to date have been met on time. The first week in June, there was a parent square communication to families with who had rising second and third graders about the pilot and how it came to be, how we arrived at the decision for what would be piloted and when. And we embedded in that a question collector, which now fuels an ongoing FAQ document for the community. So they can record their questions, send them to me, and we just keep adding to the answers that are sent out to the second and third grade families. On August 22nd, another parent square notification to second and third grade families with information about what their children would be learning in the first module was shared, as well as strategies that they could help with at home, questions they could ask their children about what they're learning and how to inspire curiosity, particularly around the content knowledge that we're building. The second of those letters was on October 28th, again, to second and third grade families, this time about Module 2. We talked a little bit about what was learned in Module 1, what they could ask about and ask their child to show them learning about, and what was coming up in Module 2. The next module, Introduction, is scheduled to send on January 20th of 2025. Slides and talking points were provided to second and third grade teachers for open house to describe the pilot curriculum structure and content. And on October 15th at Miller Driscoll, we hosted a curriculum night for first and second grade families around offering additional opportunities for families to come in and hear about the structure, the research behind, to experience a learning experience. It was actually a close reading of a picture book that we did with those families at that time. And next Wednesday, we'll be doing a curriculum night for third grade. The action plan also considers an opportunity for parent engagement in every trimester. Something that I'm thinking about and thinking about balance is how to offer asynchronous opportunities for parents to engage with this information and material. We had 37 or 38 participants at the Miller Driscoll open house, but I think we might be able to reach more if we have some asynchronous opportunities as well. Teacher feedback surveys have been collected after each professional learning session, and families will be surveyed before November 22nd. Next slide. Professional learning. This is a timeline for professional learning. On June 12th and 13th, we engaged in platform training. That training was virtual, which created some challenges for us. I think what we walked away learning was that virtual trainings seem to be most efficacious for our teachers when the participants individually log in and follow along, rather than when groups of teachers meet together in a room or across rooms and watch on a big screen. So logging into the platform seemed to have more traction. On August 21st, we had a 3-hour training after convocation on launching knowledge modules. Miller Driscoll had an in-person trainer and Cider Mill had an in-person trainer. There were about 20 respondents to that survey that rated the training about 90.4% positive. 2 participants reported a sense of overwhelm, but it was convocation day, and I think that's just a little bit of good common sense.
It's a busy day.
It was a busy day, there's a lot to learn, and since school year starting, there's a lot to do. On September 11th, both schools engaged in an additional in-person training. At Miller Driscoll, they engaged in launching the skills block, and in 3rd grade, launching the all block. Both of these blocks are where the differentiation occurs. So there's grade level learning that holds it together, but then all of the differentiation for meeting students where they are is embedded in this block. Each building requested their trainer from August 21st to return, and we were able to make that happen. Miller Driscoll respondents after the September 11th training reported about 50% satisfaction with that training, while Cider Mill continued to be impressed with their trainer and responding 100% positively. So at this point, when we're thinking about our teachers' confidence level with the content that they're delivering, we had to make a decision. I made a commitment to you in June that we would schedule time for 2nd and 3rd grade to work together collaboratively, and that was planned for October 15th and Election Day. After the 9/11 training, we decided that we needed to be more responsive to our adult learners, and we needed to offer a reboot of the skills training for our 2nd grade teachers because their confidence and their knowledge around the new materials was of the utmost importance to us. So Kathy, the coaches, and I heavily influenced the planning for the skills block, Part 2 training that would occur on October 15th. Cider Mill proceeded with the plan that was in place for the 4 trainings as they were planned. So they engaged with fostering cognitive engagement and knowledge block instruction, and that was what was planned for October 15th. The same trainer was used for both buildings this time, so she worked with Miller Driscoll from 8 to 11 and Cider Mill from 12 to 3. Survey respondents from Cider Mill reported 80% satisfaction with the learning experience, but we did not hit the mark with Miller Driscoll participants, and they reported a 20% satisfaction rating. So we clearly needed to do some more differentiation because this is one of the core components of the program. So as a result, the coaches and the admin team made a plan for supporting teachers through an applied learning model in IET to get the adult learning trajectory back on track. This IET and classroom support plan was so successful that we decided it was best for Miller Driscoll to continue to apply their learning on Election Day under the guidance of their coaches. On November 5th, Cider Mill proceeded with the 4th planned instructional professional learning experience, and the feedback from Cider Mill was 100% positive. November is a peak stress month for teachers, and the session at Cider Mill began as we whipped around and introduced ourselves and shared a hope. The hopes quickly turned into challenges, and you could just feel the weight of overwhelm in the room as they were going through introductions, and the presenter masterfully pivoted, and you could just pinpoint the exact moment where the tension just broke through, and the Cider Mill teachers were very grateful for the tips that she gave around streamlining and just making things more practical. Next slide. In fact, we are finished with the didactic and the guided learning through Better Lesson, but Cider Mill teachers were like, we want her back, which was lovely to hear. The coaches are also doing a lot of work with our teachers. They're unpacking upcoming modules, units, and lessons in grade level meetings. They're working with prep for teachers, both prep and planning in IETs, and they're analyzing student work. They're providing demonstrations in classrooms, and they're studying the student learning as it unfolds, and they're doing a lot of troubleshooting. The coaches are being coached as well through a Better Lesson coach named Jennifer Kripe, and they're finding that experience very positive. It's a place that they can go to get questions answered as they arise. Next slide. So this is around monitoring and evaluating the pilot. We do have quantitative measures that we'll be looking at, longitudinal cohort and cross-cohort analyses of conditional growth percentiles as measured by NWEA. In addition to those, we do have some embedded assessments in the program itself that we are looking to fold into that data. Right now, early in the school year, we're finding that with the younger students, early in the school year, a lot of that work is highly scaffolded. So we're looking for opportunities to surface more evidence of what kids can do independently. So unit assessments, and the other thing that we're looking at tracking is embedded within the skills block is it leans on skills instruction following Linnea Airey's phases theory. So we're looking at how we can measure growth through those phases, or microphases as this program uses. Okay, next slide. So this is more anecdotal than anything. Under my chair, I have a yellow envelope full of student work from grade 3. It's from the Module 1, Unit 2 post-assessment, which was given on October 9th. And the question that was posed to students is, what challenges do children in Mongolia face when accessing books, and how are these challenges overcome? As soon as I worked with an IET, and we were just turning response after response that looked like the one that you see over here on the right, just very fully developed. As you looked at it, I left the misspellings in there on purpose, but Mongolia was spelled right. There were just a lot of things there. You could see the students' text dependency. There was an absence of pronouns. There was a reliance on proper nouns, and those proper nouns, you can see the text dependency again when they are spelling that correctly. They were integrating vocabulary, content vocabulary that they learned in the unit. So that student, this is one response, but many of them look this way. Mongolia is a country in Northeast Asia where it is warm and hot and dry in summer and freezing in the winter. Mongolia is very nomadic, missing a little bit of the nuance there with nomadic, but again, trying to use new vocabulary. It's hard for the children to get books, but librarians and Mr. Dashdandog have found a way: horses and camels. These animals will pull carts with books in them and deliver them to kids. They learn to read and have a great time. Then they eat sweets and read, and the books are always sweeter than the candy. The animals will keep returning, and the kids have a lot of fun with ... books. So one of the things that is pretty striking about that is that you can hear the voice, and you can almost hear the curiosity and enthusiasm that they're bringing to the topic. This module was a module on overcoming challenges, and kids were studying how schools around the world overcome challenges. So I wondered, where can I dig up some artifacts from the year before? And I went into the Cambium platform and looked at what our third graders were doing in October on the literary analysis IAB. That particular question read, what inference can be made about Matthew? They read a passage. What inference can be made about Matthew? Include information from the passage in your answer. This is also a very typical response from October 18th, a year ago. At the end of the day, he felt he had learned everything there was to know about luck and fishing. Strangely, with all of this knowledge, he had caught no fish. So some things that you can see here is the use of the pronoun rather than the character's name. There's an absence of an understanding about an audience for the child themselves as a writer. They just assume that you have read the story as well and you know what they're talking about. You don't see the vocabulary being used there. And again, nomadic, the students approximating with nomadic. Others used some words like arid to describe climate, but they really are embedding in both talk and writing their vocabulary. So I promised the teachers that I would bring that to you to share, and I've got an envelope of more if you're interested in seeing them.
You said this was third grade, correct?
Third grade. But my second graders are also quite impressive, so I'll share a quick anecdote. I don't have any student work to share with you, but I'll share a very quick anecdote. There's a lot of talk structures going on in second grade right now, and they're also using the vocabulary while they're talking in knowledge block. Something that struck me recently, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, is the size of the groups. I was in one second grade classroom, and there were about 6 or 7 kids across 3 groups, which is larger groups than we've had them collaborate on in the past. Collaborate in the past. And for 8 minutes, they sustained a focused conversation about the similarities and differences in schools around the world that they had read about and their own Miller Driscoll. Not only did they sustain that focus on the topic, but they disagreed with each other respectfully, they challenged each other's thinking, they grew ideas, and at the end of that conversation, the teacher had them transition. It was an oral rehearsal for what they were going to be writing. Had them transition to their tables to start writing, and within 2 minutes, every single kid in the room, save one, had taken to the page, and all you could hear were pencils scratching. And one little worried eyebrow was like, his teacher was busy, so I was the next tallest person in the room. I was probably the tallest person in the room. But he called me over and he said, I have a problem. And I said, oh, tell me about your problem. He said, I put all of my information on this page, and now I have 2 blank pages before I get to differences. I said, what are you going to do? And he was like, well, look, I don't want to waste my writing here, and I don't want to waste the paper here. So, and I said, I'll get your teacher, but while I get your teacher, can you think about one solution that you might propose to her? So when she came over, he was like, I think I have to pull these 2 pages out, but I'd like to put them where someone else could use them if they need them, which, like, what a lovely dedicated stewardship of the environment. I thought it was just precious. And within, she was like, I think that's a wonderful idea. Within a minute, he had taken to the page again. So they're impressive, our little people.
Just a good story.
Thanks.
So, if I question I have, it seems that there's a little bit of a disconnect between how the teachers are taking to it in Cider Mill and how the teachers are taking to it in Miller Driscoll. And so the first thing I want to ask, because we are the board, do you feel like you have enough resources to help support the Miller Driscoll teachers, because you reverse course on some of their adult learning and how they're taking to the new materials and making their way through the program.
I'm very grateful to this board that we have our coaching staff because in the absence of those 2 coaches who are able to support those 13 classroom teachers in conjunction with their administrators, we would not have enough resources. But our coaches are paddling very hard beneath the surface of the water, and they are working very hard to support those teachers. We were talking today about the last 2 professional learning experiences that the Cider Mill teachers engaged in really seemed to lighten the load for them. They were around fostering engagement, and there were just a lot of tips about making this work and heavy advice to not try to do everything within the program, to make instructional decisions that are right for your students. And it really brought the temperature down. So the coaches and I are going to be meeting about how we can turnkey that training for the second grade teachers without overwhelming them further.
Because it seems as though maybe there's like a tension between, I know you talked about the fidelity to the pilot, but then if their teachers are not feeling like they really have a grasp or an ability to really kind of use the program.
They are using the program,
Okay.
I think, better than they
think they do,
are.
yeah.
They're missing some confidence, and they had one trainer that in the first session, they really thought she was amazing. Best professional learning we've ever had was one comment from one teacher. So we invited her back, and when she came back, it just missed the mark.
Okay.
Unable to answer some questions.
Yeah.
It's been bumpy.
Yeah. No, because I just wanted, if there's, extra professional development, if there's something, a piece, because I think the the purpose of this exercise is for us to really be able to make some informed decisions when the pilot is over. So, making sure that there's enough support to make sure that the pilot, can serve that purpose. It's
We
important.
continue to collaborate as a team. We have a meeting where we're going to study some possible solutions on Monday, but if I can keep that door open to that question, I'd love to be able to shoot you an email.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Remind me, where the trainers are from where?
They are from Better Lesson. The platform trainers were from Imagine Learning. So Imagine Learning has a partnership. It's a triad partnership. It's Imagine Learning, EL Education, which is the curriculum. Imagine Learning is the platform. And then Better Lesson is the professional learning driver.
And so it seems like there's potential for a high level of variability between the trainers. That leads to either favorable outcomes and feedback from the teachers or not.
I almost think it's not variable enough. If it's not quite responsive enough. They have their presentations that they kind of go through. Better Lesson has been very responsive with us in creating some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some customized. Thank you. I was like, the word just escaped me. Some customized professional learning for us. They really took our input with the admin team and the coaches to design the 10-15 learning. But the trainer, to Chuck's point about task and implementation, the first hour was pretty good and hit a lot of our learning targets, and just kind of fell apart in the second hour. So they're working on another customized plan for us to possibly for December.
Is there a way to try to figure out if that could happen beforehand, to try to screen it?
We plan, we screen, and we debrief. So I think what I've been reflecting on a lot is the pressure that we have with this accelerated timeline to be in full compliance by has also put a strain on some of these vendors as well. So this appears to be a relatively new partnership, and I think they're figuring it out their dance too. So everybody's just working really hard to make this shift that 38 states and our nation's capital have now made law.
Are we getting feedback from other districts? Are they struggling with the same?
I wish I had time to check in on other districts, Patrick. We're working really hard here, but I can do that before I see you next time.
Are other districts in the dirt using the same program?
Not this program.
No.
No, the closest is Newtown, Farmington, Woodstock. I have been talking to everybody about trying to see if we can form a partnership with some of these districts. Just haven't had the time to formalize that. I'm not so sure at this point we're ready for much of a partnership. We're still learning the program. I think maybe a little bit further down the road, teachers will be in a better position to benefit from the discussion with other districts.
I rewatched the 6th of June meeting today, and something I wrote down was that you said was enthusiasm and high confidence is the key, and that sounds that's missing, and that's worrisome.
I think it is evident to a higher degree in grade 3 than it is in grade 2. I think that's accurate. We're worried about it too, and we're working on adjusting our course to meet teachers' needs.
Any other questions for Karen? I feel a little bit, I want to bring it to the table that I know you're here, Trudy, but it's already 9 o'clock, and I just didn't know if everybody felt that, to leave it there, yeah.
I think we should table math.
Okay.
Would be my recommendation. Yeah,
Okay.
it's getting late.
Because it's getting late, and and it's important, and I don't want it to go fast.
Sign me up for them.
Well, we'll put you first. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yep. Right. So, Karen, feel free to come, to follow up with us or come back. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, everybody who came here. And I didn't realize how late it had gotten. And
Right.
we'll adjourn at 9:04. Thank you. For executive session, yes.
Is that in here or is that in here?
We come in here, gavel in, open the meeting, and then we make a motion to adjourn to the executive session, and we go to Kevin.
Apologies again for the
Oh, no worries.
New York traffic is.
Yeah, amazing.
You did well, though.
I
Yeah.
was in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I know, actually, I was surprised I didn't. But, yeah, I didn't. I was in a manufacturing center at home.
Isn't that where all the steel mills are?